Mike said, I'm a regional specialist with the MarketLink program. I'm actually based in Colorado, but I work with farmers in the Midwest and Mountain Plains regions. But MarketLink is a national program, so it's available to farmers and farmers markets across the country. In a nutshell, MarketLink is a national grant program. Our purpose is to help farmers and farmers markets to accept SNAP as a form of payment. All right, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to drop them in the chat. I also put my contact information in there as well, so please don't hesitate to reach out if you'd like information later. All right, so just a little background information on who MarketLink is. MarketLink is a program that's been around since 2013. It was created in response to a USDA grant opportunity known as the SNAP Equipment Grant for farmers and farmers markets. The USDA created that grant because they wanted to increase SNAP redemption at farms and farmers markets. The USDA recognized that it's challenging for one, farmers to get through the SNAP retailer authorization process, and two, that for farmers, the equipment could be expensive or cost prohibitive. So they created this grant opportunity as a way for farmers and markets to test out accepting SNAP with minimal costs for at least 1 year. So you could, see how many customers you have and gauge if it's worthwhile to, eventually pay for the equipment. Now, the MarketLink program is operated by a nonprofit called the Farmers Food Assistance Bureau, whose broader mission is to help farmers and farmers markets increase their sales and expand their customer base through the federal nutrition benefit programs. So beyond SNAP, also the WIC, or Women, Infants, and Children program, and the Seniors Farmers Market Nutrition Program. Okay, so just making sure we're all on the same page. SNAP is often referred to as EBT. It was formerly known as the Food Stamp Program. It stands for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Now, who's eligible to receive these benefits? That's based on the income and household factors. But the majority of SNAP recipients are low-income working families, meaning households with children at home, as well as households with elderly and/or disabled members. To give you an idea, in fiscal year 2024, there was over 41.2 million Americans receiving SNAP benefits. That's about 12% of our population. And in Ohio, 1.3 million of your neighbors were on the SNAP program. That's about 1 in 9 people in Ohio. And on average, they're receiving about $191 per household member per month. Now on the right here, this is just different examples of the SNAP cards. Each state brands them differently. So I pulled up a photo. This is what I'm finding for what the SNAP card looks like in Ohio. Now keep in mind, once you get your farm authorized to accept SNAP, you can take cards from any state. All right, now what kind of foods can be purchased with SNAP benefits? It's a lot of what a farmer is going to be, selling from the farm. We've got fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, poultry, dairy, eggs, baked goods, processed foods in the sense of like pickled vegetables, jams, ciders, other beverages, honey, herbs, and I always like to promote plants and seeds that will produce food. So if you sell vegetable starts, those are eligible for SNAP. What's not eligible is non-food products, of course, medicine and health-related supplements, alcoholic beverages, and of note is hot foods or foods meant to be eaten on site. All right, now if you sell your products at a farmer's market, you might come across one of two ways that SNAP is accepted. So I'll explain each system that you might encounter here. Now first here, I've got the vendor level system. This is also sometimes called decentralized. And in this situation, it's left up to the vendors to go on their own and submit the USDA SNAP retailer application to get their business authorized. Once they get approved, then they'll get a SNAP point of sale equipment for their business. That equipment is going to be connected to the vendor's, personal or business bank account. And what's important here is that they can only be accepting SNAP for items that they sell through their business. So if you go to, this is fairly common for small or volunteer run farmers markets. And so if you're in this situation, you just want to keep in mind that you're going to need a budget for signage at the market, as well as, to market, marketing materials to let SNAP participants know that they can come shop with you at the market. The other system that you might encounter out there, and from what I've talked to farmers in Ohio, this is pretty common in Ohio, and that's this market level or centralized system. So in this situation, it's the organization running the market that's going to do that SNAP retailer application with the USDA, and that organization is who's getting authorized. Now, once they're approved, they're going to get one set of SNAP point of sale equipment that's being used for the entire market. That equipment is going to be connected to a bank account that's, specific to the market. And all the SNAP transactions are going to go into that bank account. And then the vendors are reimbursed by the market later. To manage this, markets will use something like tokens or script. I'll explain a little more on that in the next slide. But as you can imagine, this requires a lot more resources from the market. All the vendors need to be willing to participate. They'll need staff or volunteers to manage the SNAP program, as well as a budget to cover the equipment costs, those tokens, as well as to do the marketing and outreach. Now, if you sell at a farmer's market that's, run by an organization and they're not accepting SNAP, be sure to let them know that you're interested if you are, because this does take some of the burden off the shoulders of the vendors for getting authorized. And it's more appealing to, SNAP customers if they know they can go to a market and shop at more, booths. All right, and then just to kind of wrap up what that, market level system looks like. This is what those tokens or script that I mentioned. And script just means something that's used to represent those SNAP dollars. I've got an example here of SNAP coupons or SNAP bucks, they're sometimes called. And how this is going to work is at the market, that SNAP equipment will be kept at, a centralized booth, and it's being operated by, market staff or volunteers. SNAP customers are going to be directed to go there. And when they get there, they're going to say, hey, I'd like, say $20 off my SNAP card. The market staff is going to run their card and enter in that amount. And then to complete the transaction, the equipment's going to ask them to enter in their 4-digit PIN code. Now, as long as they have the funds on their card, the transaction will go through. And that at that point, those SNAP funds have hit, they're going towards that bank account tied to the equipment. And so then the market staff can give those customers the tokens or script in exchange. And then those customers are free to go shop the market with their tokens. It's up to the vendors when, it comes time to ring up a customer and they indicate they want to pay with SNAP. The vendors do need to know what they can take SNAP for, and they'll accept those tokens. And then at the end of the market, vendors are going to turn in the tokens spent with them to market staff, and market staff will note how much is, owed to each vendor. Now, as far as reimbursement, it depends on the market. Some markets keep cash on hand. It's much more common, though, that they're going to maybe bulk pay you in by check or, some kind of electronic payment to you. But just keep in mind, if you sell at a market that has this kind of system, they're going to make sure that you, are comfortable with the process. All right, so we've covered the what of SNAP, and before we move on, I'd just like to touch base on why you might want to accept SNAP. Starting with the obvious here in this light green, if you start accepting SNAP, then you can market your products to a new customer base. And in doing so, hopefully tap into a new revenue stream that's going to increase your profit. On the flip side, by doing this, you're expanding to a new customer base. And you're essentially giving your neighbors the opportunity to be able to buy your products, something they might not have been able to afford otherwise. Um, those customers are now getting access to fresh, locally produced, healthy food. And that exchange is all part of building relationships in our community and building a sense of community, which I think we can all agree on is key to not just our survival but everybody's well-being. Now, to put a dollar value on this benefit, a USDA study has showed that for every SNAP dollar that households redeem, the economy is expanded by about $1.54. And so when people are able to spend that SNAP dollar locally, that means that, $1.54 is going into your local economy. Now, I've worked with hundreds of farmers over the years, and they all have different reasons for wanting to accept SNAP. And I think the thing that's amazing is that no matter where you jump in on this circle, everyone will benefit. All right, so let's shift gears, and now I'll tell you a little bit more about how this MarketLink program can help you if you're interested in accepting SNAP. So we have expanded over the years. We now oversee a few grant programs. Today, I'm focusing on this SNAP equipment grant. For that one, we provide free technical assistance with that USDA SNAP retailer application. And then the grant can cover the cost of 1 year of SNAP processing equipment. That grant is available to both farmers and farmers markets. Anywhere you see DMF in my presentation, that stands for Direct Marketing Farmer. And I'll get into that definition here in a few slides. We also administer the SNAP Online grant. That grant is only for farmers, and it is to help farmers be able to take SNAP cards through an online store. So for that one, the grant covers free technical assistance with the SNAP Online authorization process, and then it covers the costs of your online store for 1 year. Now, I won't lead you too far into the weeds with these boxes on the right. Basically, we are developing the ability for the SNAP point of sale equipment that we provide to also be able to accept the other federal nutrition benefit programs, such as WIC, the Women, Infants, and Children program, and the Seniors Farmers Market Nutrition programs. Now, whereas SNAP is both funded and managed at the federal level, those WIC and seniors programs are funded by at the federal level, but managed by the states. The states have been operating those programs as a paper coupon or check system. But a few years ago, the feds mandated the states to modernize to digital payments. Each state is on its own adventure with modernizing. It looks to me like Ohio is still doing the paper system, but probably transitioning to digital soon. So hopefully we'll be able to offer that on our equipment as well. But for now, if you're interested in accepting those WIC or seniors programs, it's the Department of Health in Ohio that you want to get in touch with. Okay, so these are the basic steps in our grant process. The first step is just to go to our website, marketlink.org, and apply for our grant. That application is pretty short and pain-free. And then within a few business days, we'll email you your next step instructions. Now, what kind of instructions you get will depend on if your farm is currently authorized to accept SNAP. So you'll go to step 2 if you tell us that you need to get SNAP authorized. Well, what we're going to do is email you information on how we can help you with that. We also get folks at this point that have already submitted that USDA application and they're just waiting to hear back. If that's where you're at in the process, then when we email you, we're going to send you some tips on how to get through the process, and our contact information in case you get stuck anywhere along the way. Now, some folks, they'll tell us my farm's already authorized to accept SNAP. So then you're on to step 3, which is going to be setting up a account with the SNAP point of sale equipment that we provide. That's called Total Pay Go. Now, of note is if, we help you with getting SNAP authorized, at this point, you are free to go with a different equipment if you prefer to, purchase equipment from elsewhere. But if you choose to go with the grant, then yeah, you'll set up your Total Pay Go account, and then you're on to the last step, which is receiving and setting up your equipment. That's going to be downloading an app and just familiarizing yourself with how to use it. Okay, so I'm going to just dig into each of those 4 steps a little bit more here. That first step of, applying on our website, this is the eligibility criteria that we're looking for. So what's most important is that your business meets the definition of either a direct marketing farmer or a farmer's market. For the direct marketing farmer category, that's a individual producer of agricultural products that sells directly to the public. And at least 50% of your profits must be of your own products. So that the important thing here is just most of what you sell is products that you grow and raise on your farm. Also, farmers markets are eligible here with that fall under that definition. This is describing kind of a traditional Main Street farmers market where everybody's setting up booths and selling their own products. The most common businesses that apply and end up not qualifying is if you are aggregating products from farmers and not, most of your sales aren't coming from your own farm. But there's a lot of gray area. So if you are not sure, you're welcome to reach out and ask us for more information. So then, yeah, as far as not being eligible, the other thing here is that you haven't received our grant since October 2025. As I mentioned, this grant's been around since 2013, and it gets renewed approximately every 4 years. And our last renewal was just last October. So, if you received the grant in the past by chance, then make sure you apply again because you would be eligible for another free year of the equipment. All right, so that next step, if you haven't done so already, is doing the USDA's SNAP retailer application. And this is the bigger one. So when you apply, we're going to give you these 2 options on how we can help. We'll send you a step-by-step guide if you want to do it on your own, and then you're welcome to reach out to us if you have any questions. Or we highly recommend you take us up on option number 2, which is that we can submit the application on your behalf over the phone. Either way, it's going to be an online application. If you have us do it for you, then we'll send you a list of information to gather. You'll book a phone appointment, and then we'll fill it out for you on our computer during the call. Now, once you have submitted the application, or we submit it for you, then the next thing here to complete your application is the USDA is going to require some supporting documents, is what they call it. So what's required depends on how your business is legally organized. But in general, for farms, it's pretty straightforward. For each business owner, they're going to want a photo ID, a social security card, and a signature page. That social security card requirement, the only exemption is if you're a 501c3 nonprofit or government-owned farmers market. And then more recently, the USDA has started to require a business license or some kind of document verifying your business as a farm. They're pretty flexible about what you provide. They've accepted, food safety certificates. If you file a Schedule F with your taxes, if you have a farm tracking number. So don't let that part hold you up. We're happy to talk to you about what your options are there. And then of course, yeah, if you are a 501c3, they're going to want your IRS determination letter. Now, once all those documents are uploaded, the USDA will actually start looking at your application. At this time, they might ask you for additional information, and they always have a deadline to respond. So it's really important to keep a close eye on your application. It's not a submit and forget kind of application. And this is where having us submit can be really helpful because we can keep an eye on that and make sure nothing slips through the cracks. That's probably the step that most applications fall off, is where something was requested and you missed the deadline. So you'll also want to be checking your status online. You can call the USDA to check on that. Like I said, if you have us apply, we'll do that for you. And hopefully you'll make it to the last step here, which is getting approved. And at that point, you'll be issued a SNAP permit for your business. That permit is good for about 5 years. And that's your golden ticket to being able to get that SNAP point of sale equipment. So I know that's a lot of information here. The key takeaway is that timing is really important. The whole process can take anywhere from 1 to 3 months. If you are interested in accepting SNAP this year, if you can apply within the next month, 6 weeks, that's ideal. We start getting really busy the end of February to anymore. It's June is kind of the busy season for farmer applications with the USDA. So it just takes longer to get approved. If you're not sure and you're thinking maybe you're going to hold off till next year, then fall and winter is the ideal time to apply. It's just everybody's less busy. All right, so we are on our final chapter here. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the SNAP point of sale equipment that we provide. Now, as far as your options for SNAP point of sale equipment, there are companies that you can purchase equipment from, of course. Some banks and credit unions provide equipment, so it might be worth checking with yours. And then, of course, there is the equipment that we provide through the grant. So let's look at that. All right, so we call this a bring your own device program. And that just means that you need to have your own smartphone or tablet to put that Total Pay Go app on. This can be someone's personal or business device. It just needs to have Bluetooth because that's how you are going to connect your phone or tablet to the little Snap card reader. So this photo over here on the left gives you a general idea of your setup. As far as like physical equipment that you'll receive, it's this little black box here. That is the Snap card reader. And it's, yeah, all wireless, so it'll connect through Bluetooth. And then, just keep in mind that to run the Total Pay Go app, you're going to need to have either a data plan or connection to Wi-Fi for your smart device. It uses very little data, but you will need some data to make it operate. And then of note here, you'll notice there's no kind of printer for, receipts. And that's because the USDA provides what they call a printed receipt waiver for anybody going through our grant program. So that means you're not required to print receipts like other businesses are, because instead your customers will be offered a email or text receipt. All right, and then here's what costs are covered for the first year and then what to expect after the grant is up. The first year, the grant is covering the cost of that SNAP card reader entirely, and that's yours to keep. And then the grant pays for a 1-year subscription to the Total Pay Go app. And then you have that printer waiver, so no cost for printing receipts. After the first year, if you want to keep using the Total Pay Go app, then the cost is in a subscription fee. So if you sell products year round, the yearly subscription probably makes more sense. That's a $191.40 for the year. But if you sell seasonally, you can just turn it on for the months that you need it, and that's $19.95 a month. But otherwise, you continue to have that, Bluetooth card reader and the printer waiver that lasts as long as you're using the Total Pay Go equipment. And then new for this grant cycle, and those dates are actually have been pushed forward, so this goes a little further into the future. The USDA added this feature we're very excited about, which is that if you process at least $500 in SNAP during your first year, your grant year, then we can give you a 1-year extension of the grant. So, and that can, will keep applying as long as, grant funding is around. So we're very excited about that. And then as far as per transaction fees go, so for if you're just doing SNAP transactions with Total Pay Go, there's no transaction fee. The cost is in that subscription fee. There's also the option if you also want to accept credit and debit cards using our Total Pay Go app. We have a partnership with Square, and how that works is that you would still have a Square account that you set up, and then you basically just fill out a form to integrate your Square account into our Total Pay Go app. So that lets you just open up the Total Pay Go app, and you'll see the options for credit and debit card as well. But Square's per transaction fees do still apply. But the benefit to Square is there's no contract or subscription required. And then in addition to the Total Pay Go app that you have on your phone or tablet, there's also the website, your customer portal online. And that's where you'll log into your account. You can view and download all your sales data. So if you have an accounting software, you can pull it into that and just generally manage your account there. All right, we made it to the end. So I know that was information overload, and I'm happy to take any questions you have now, but I'm sure after you digest this, you'll possibly have more questions. So feel free to reach out to us. You can reach us here at our team email address, info@marketlink.org. My personal email is in the chat. There's also a lot more information on our website, marketlink.org. And if you prefer a phone appointment, you can book a phone call with us through our website. If you know you want to get the ball rolling, then you'll go to our website, marketlink.org, and just submit a grant application, and we can get you moving through the process. And one thing that I'm excited to share, newer to our grant program, is that we've been able to bring on a special projects coordinator. So my coworker, Brianna, her job is to help farmers connect with SNAP customers. So once we get you through this whole process and you're set up with the equipment, you're not alone at that point to find your customers. We have Brianna to help you, reach folks and market your SNAP program. So I've dropped her contact information here as well in case you are SNAP authorized and looking for ideas on how to reach your customers. So feel free to reach out to either of us. All right, with that, I am happy to take any questions if anybody has any at this time. See, I'm looking in the chat here. Oh, it's the AI assistants. Okay, hi there. Another AI one. Okay. I don't see any specific questions. So I understand it's kind of an overwhelming, amount of information, especially if you're just starting up your farm and you're not sure, at what point to start accepting SNAP. It's not a bad idea to get your feet under you before taking this on. But you're welcome to reach out just for general information. There's no pressure to move forward.
It looks like Pamela's typing in the chat, so we'll wait for her. But we are recording this webinar, and we will share it to our YouTube page with a link on our OhioFarmerVeteran.org website. And Whitney will also send me a copy of the slides, and we will make those available to anybody. If you throw your email in the chat, I will get those to you. And we can also post those to our website. All right, so just a reminder, upcoming events, February 19th, Food Market Maker presentation by Michelle from Central State, and March 19th will be soil amendments from David Henry of A&L Great Lakes Laboratory, soil fertility testing and management. April, we're looking at a beekeeping webinar. In May, bovine topic, which is my interest. And then June, farm safety. And as I mentioned, we will be partnering with other agencies for agroforestry workshops. March 8th, maple syrup workshop in Wakeman. April 17th, tree planting, risk assessment, disease and pests in Westerville. May 17th, Pawpaw Workshop in Worcester, and July 17th, the Chestnut Workshop in Carrollton. So be on the lookout for that information on social media, on our Facebook private group and our public webpage, and email blasts. And we will pay your admission fees to those events. Some of those, like I said, are about $100 per workshop, and Ohio chapter will pick those up for you. And lastly, if you're not aware, Central State has their Urban and Small Farm Conference coming up 23-24 January at their campus in Dayton. And the Ohio chapter will have a table there. So if you are attending that conference, please stop by and say hi. And then 14 March, OSU Small Farm Conference at the Worcester campus. We will again have a display there, and hope to see as many of and appreciate Whitney for being on and spending time with us today. And hopefully we have some farmers out there that can be able to use your product and your grant.
Hi, I'm sorry. This is Isabel. The screen went blank and I could only hear, so I had to get back on my phone. Okay, so I was just wondering, in looking at your slides and that, could we get a copy of the slides so that we could kind of review it?
Yeah, Isabel, Whitney will email those to me. If you just put your email address, well, I know yours, but in the chat, I will make sure I distribute that to everybody.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate it. And thank you for your time, Whitney.
Thank you so much. And yeah, big thank you to Mike for hosting me tonight, and to the Farmer Veteran Coalition. It's a really inspirational organization, and I'm honored to share this opportunity with you all.
Right. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, thank you all for joining us, and every third Thursday of the month, right here at the same link, and we will continue to send out notices. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Good luck with your snow.
Thanks, Whitney.